Hey guys, welcome to day 3 of our 5-day challenge. We are super excited to have you here today. We are halfway through the course. Can you believe that? All right, so I hope that the last 2 days was really, really useful and helping you understand how you were spending your time and knowing what a VA can do for you, and also helping you get clear about the top tasks that you can delegate and your preferences for a virtual assistant, so that when you get to this point, the hiring process, you already know what the perfect VA is for you and what they can take off your plate. So then when you go in with knowledge and excitement and clarity about what they can do for you. So that's very, very important. Now it is time for action. So we were actually going to break this lesson down into 2 days, but based on the turnaround time of the VA companies and mostly based on your feedback where you told us that you just wanted to jump right into the hiring process right now, let's go, I'm gearing, we decided to accelerate this whole lesson and jam pack as much as possible right in this with still breaking it down and keeping it simple. All right, so put on your warp speed hats and let's jump in. All right, guys, so if you look through our handout, you will find a ton of virtual assistant companies. We actually looked through many, many more virtual assistant companies and their preferences and how they cross-examined it with different preferences that we gave you in yesterday's lesson, and we actually summarized it into 10 companies that we believe are the best to our abilities, to our understanding, the best virtual assistant companies that would meet the preferences that we listed yesterday. And so you'll find 10 companies, and then you'll find check boxes under those companies. And what you can do is actually cross-examine your preferences with the preferences that are listed under that company. So what actually happened is that we literally emailed, called, or interviewed each and every company on this list so we could have as much info as possible. And some of them are affiliate links, and they're noted by a little asterisk at the top. It doesn't mean that we hired a virtual assistant through this company. It just means that they had an affiliate program, and we decided, what the hey, might as well. And these are, again, not the only options that exist out there. We recommend that you go through this and see if there's anything else that you are wondering about the company. You can click on that link and find more extensive stuff about the company on their website. And you can also do your own research and figure out if there's other companies out there that exist that meet your preferences better. But this is a compilation of the ones that we have found that are the best according to us and according to how we have cross-examined your preferences. So what you're going to do is just look at all those check boxes that you have checked, and then you're going to compare it to what is checked on that company. And it doesn't mean that the most amount of checks on the company are the best. They don't need to have all the boxes checked. They just need to have the right ones for your specific preferences and for your needs in a virtual assistant. So also note that if there's an asterisk in the column itself, it means that we weren't able to identify whether or not that company had that specific thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't exist within that company. We just weren't able to find it. And then also note that a lot of companies had package prices, which means that they have a plan that has a bunch of different hours and you can buy it in bulk, and sometimes those roll over into the next month, sometimes they don't. We've tried to identify whether or not they had the package plan versus the hourly rate. Many of the companies also have really, really affordable virtual assistants, which mean that they're under $10 an hour. And we've tried to get as many of those on this spreadsheet as possible because we know that that's one of the major concerns. And almost all of these companies have VAs that specialize in a wide array of different tasks here. Also note, an individual versus an agency isn't as straightforward as it may sound. So an individual may be a person that is a 1099 employee or a 1099 independent contractor, or it might actually be that you're going through the agency and they assign one person to you, or you're going through something like Upwork and you pick one specific person. So an individual just means that they have one person that is for you, that is a virtual assistant, like your virtual assistant, and then an agency means that they have an entire team that you can access for miscellaneous tasks that you have. So keep that in mind. Some of them check both of those boxes, so keep that in mind. We've tried to note that as much as possible as well. So after you cross-examine your preferences for with the company's needs that they check, the next step is that you're going to choose your top 1 to 3 choices for virtual assistant companies. You can choose and rank as many as you want or as little as you want. Note that the more you choose as a top preference, the more options you'll have when you actually send inquiries, but the more time it will take to send individual inquiries to each of these agencies. So after you choose your top 1 to 3 or more companies that you want to move forward with, and that doesn't mean that you're going to actually hire someone through those. Please note, you'll just be sending an inquiry, and so you'll see if they have an assistant that will meet your needs. Sometimes you do have to buy the package plan first, but as we said, we'll note that. And then just rank your top 3, and then you'll move forward on the inquiry stage, not the hiring stage. So just to differentiate. So the next point after that will be actually beginning the preparation for the inquiry process. So you'll answer some of the common VA inquiry questions that we've found in our research and that we've seen across the board as being asked to identify more specifics of the task, more specifics about who you want as that person and what availability they need and different things like that. And so we've compiled a list of questions that you might want to answer before you go into the inquiry process to make the inquiry process as smooth and flawless as possible. And note that you don't have to answer all of them, and you don't have to be as detailed with some of them, but the more you answer and the more detailed you get, the more it will actually help you in the inquiry process and in the hiring process and in the onboarding process, because you'll be referring back to this list of questions because they're pretty detailed. So these are questions that are going to help you break down your main tasks and expectations so that you can clearly communicate your tasks and your VA preferences in the inquiry itself. So make sure that you keep your preference sheet handy so that you can just look at that too when you're answering some of these questions. Okay, so the more questions you answer, the more thoroughly, the easier to be for the inquiry, the hiring, and the onboarding process. So think of this as a gift to your future self. All right. I know that a lot has been covered today, and so if you have any questions, please email us, because the next step is actually today, you're going to be submitting the inquiry. And so this action might actually be different depending on the company that you choose. So it could be that you're filling out a form, which you'll reference the questionnaire that you just filled out. Or it could be that you're sending an email, again, referencing. And then another option with some of the companies that we've provided is that you'll actually be browsing through a list of candidates like Upwork. You're going to browse through a list of candidates and select an individual and then message them. But some of them you'll literally just fill out a form, and some of them you'll just be sending an email inquiry to. All right, so we're going to have you actually submit that inquiry, and that's it for today. I know that was a lot. Pat yourself on the back because you've actually begun the hiring process once you've sent that inquiry. And I know that there's a lot of steps within that, but within the handout, we'll break that down piece by piece and we'll help you identify what the next step is. And also we're available for questions, like I just said. Email us if you have questions. And then, of course, we encourage that you join us for the Q&A call today and ask us any questions that you have about the inquiry process. And we just want you to know that the next step will actually be waiting for the response on the inquiry, which we've noted has been approximately 24 hours on average. So within that time, tomorrow we're going to have you be prepping for the interview. So you'll be prepping for the interview with potential candidates, and you'll begin the interview process tomorrow. And then you are actually going to end tomorrow by picking your perfect candidate. And then on Friday and day 5, we're going to have you actually start that hiring process. So you're actually going to reach out to them and offer employment with them. And we're going to walk you through a little bit of onboarding process for that, what that looks like. And we're going to also give you some tips for success that are ongoing with your VA. And okay, if you are overwhelmed with the whole inquiry process, we've actually included a video right below this one where it's Megan actually submitting an inquiry on FreeUp, which is one of the companies listed. And so she walks through the whole thing and vocalizes what she's doing during each step. So you can follow along with that, and you can do something similar on either FreeUp or a different company based on that video. So that should really help you walk through the actual step-by-step process, because I know this is a lot of information. And so, if you have any questions, email us, join us for the Q&A call. We really look forward to this, and congratulations on getting through this 10-minute video. Bye, guys.